Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I am your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest knitter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we're talking about building a successful business from the ground up. I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, the podcast where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We are talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we do that, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the Ultimate Pool Tools, the SPPA, Blu-ray XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, and Hayward Pool Products. We want to thank them for their continued support. Mr. Zacharias, what's going on? A little bit of a struggle this morning, well, this afternoon, but how you doing?
Man. I'm hanging in there. I think we were supposed to start with Zach, good morning. How are you? Now it's Zach, good afternoon. How are you? And we're getting real close to Zach, good evening. How are you?
But Zach, if you look at it, I don't know what it is about this week. And we talk about it every year, right? There comes a time in the summer that, man, it's just so chaotic. It's so busy. Things are coming from every direction, and it doesn't matter if it's weather or calls for service or pools going green or new accounts because pools are going green or algae breakouts or a truck goes down or something, right? For some reason, it feels every summer there's those 2 or 3 weeks that complete chaos, and everybody just puts their head down and you just plow through, right? Because you don't have time for anything else or any other noise. And it feels like the last 2 weeks have been like that.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. It's funny too, because if you think about it, we get into December and January and it's like, oh, it's slow and what do we need to do? So no matter what season we're in, there's always some sort of struggle that comes along with it. But the last 2 weeks have definitely been just pure chaos. I don't know that we as a company have experienced this level of chaos for a while now, but that's what happens. You sit back and you get a little in autopilot and things are going great. And then for us, it's been the weather that's just been smacking us in the face over and over.
Yeah, you guys are just coming off of dealing with that hurricane, and that was a little chaotic. What was that like?
Yeah, it was intense. This will be my technically third hurricane that I've been through. We had one between Harvey and here. I think it was called Hurricane Nichols or something, but it was really a non-event. It blew through and I think it was overnight. We didn't even really know it went on. But this one was much more of a wind event than Harvey. So my first experience with Harvey was the water, pools flooded with bayou water, black, can't see into them. This one's been pools just full of leaves and debris. It's been quite the process to get back on track. And it's one thing to have this storm come through and then move out, and then you're like, okay, now we've got catch up to play and get things done. But we have just been getting hammered with rain even since the storm, and it gets real hot and sunny and humid. And then the next day we get 3 hours of just torrential downpour going on. And the weather app is saying we're supposed to be getting a lot of rain for the next several weeks. So it's just, you can't win right now.
Obviously, you've got all these different things going on. Are the pools giving you guys a hard time?
Yeah, we have our fair share of headaches going on right now. And it's interesting because even after the storm, you walk in a backyard and it looks like you'll run into a pool that looks like it wasn't touched. The levels are fine. There's not a lot of debris in there. The water's crystal clear. And then you drive down the street and walk in the next backyard and half their fence is in the pool and it's full of leaves. So it's been a real mix. I feel like we're starting to get back on track slightly, but overall, it's just been the amount of debris.
Yeah. And then I know that you and some of your employees were out of power for quite a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah. Our shop was out for several days. We didn't have internet. We didn't have phones. Cell service was real poor. So it was for the first couple of days when I went home, my phone would switch to SOS. So I had no incoming or couldn't make any outgoing phone calls. So it would be like 8 o'clock at night. And I'd be like, I'm going to drive down to Jumping World and park in the parking lot until I can get service and check emails, make some calls, and then go home for the night. But all that seems to be resolved at this point. I do think there's some people still without power, but for the most part, we're back to normal.
That's awesome. That's definitely good to hear. Of course, worst time of the year, right? Because normally you guys get the hurricanes, but obviously more towards end of August, kind of September. But this one, man, was so early in the game.
Yeah, and it's freaky because it's like we still have so much left in storm season. Like we don't get another one.
That'll be
if we get another one, I'm just going to drive into the woods and never look back.
Zach came out one day, he went to the woods, never to be seen again.
Yep.
Anyways, hey, let's get through a couple of things. Let me backtrack just a little bit. So John is not on today. John called and John is going through the exact same thing. Everybody's just really crazy. And I've talked to a couple different people and you see everybody, even online, just completely busy. I talked to Michael, I talked to Daniel, obviously John, Mike, and it just, everybody's just so slammed and so busy right now that it's been absolutely crazy. So John is out. Obviously, he's in the middle of moving, but he was doing some repairs and he had some new customers and he was struggling. And we were obviously having some issues this morning with this whole Microsoft thing and all that kind of fun stuff. But Zach and I made it. We made it late, Zach, but we made it.
Yeah, it was a 1975 computer thing for me.
So anyways, but we are here. We are on the podcast. And so, Zach, let's get through a couple of housekeeping notes and we'll get started because I'm excited to talk about some of the things that we have that we're going to talk about today. So before we jump in, obviously, Pool Nation Awards are open. Nominations are open. So go out to poolnationawards.com and nominate. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to, take a couple quick seconds. And I know I'm sitting here, Zach, talking about how crazy everybody is, but yet on the other side, I'm telling everybody to go nominate, but it takes literally like 2 minutes. This is the time of the year where you get out, you nominate somebody, a product, pool guy, pool girl, sales rep, trainer of the year. Get out there and nominate somebody. And obviously the awards aren't until November. Think about somebody that has either made an impact on your life out there as a pool pro or on your journey, and take a couple minutes and go out there and nominate somebody. So the nominations are open. We're going to talk really quick about all the categories that are open. We'll just go through them really quick so that we can get to the podcast, Zach. So the first one that we have open is Automation of the Year.
And then we have Heat Pump of the Year.
Then followed up by Variable Speed Pump of the Year.
Then Innovative Product of the Year.
We have Heater of the Year.
Followed by Pool Cleaner of the Year.
Then we have Best Residential Filter.
And then Salt System of the Year.
We have Bob Lowry Lifetime Achievement Award.
After that, we have Best Truck Wrap.
And then after that, we have Builder of the Year.
Then Distributor of the Year.
We have Trainer of the Year to follow that.
Then Sales Rep of the Year.
And this year we have a new category, which is Sales Rep Group of the Year.
Followed by 30 under 40 Male of the Year.
And 30 under 40 Female of the Year.
Then Retailer of the Year.
And after that, we have Women Trailblazer of the Year. So excited about that. Have gotten quite, Zach, last year, I think we got 5 or 6 nominations for that one. I think we're already up to like 8 or 9 for Women Trailblazer. Excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then we have a new one, Pool Company of the Year, 250 pools or less.
And the next one is one of the big ones, the Pool Guy of the Year.
And then Pool Girl of the Year.
And then we round off with the Pool Nation Hall of Fame, and we have a couple of inductees for the Pool Nation Hall of Fame for 2024. So we're excited about that. And then right after that, we have the Women's Summit that is going to be August 29th and 30th. I think we're down to 5 spots. So any of you women that want to get out there and register, go ahead and do so very quickly. Excited. Got some great seminars that are going to be going on. The first one is going to be Breaking Boundaries with Alicia Stevens. She's going to share her story of discovery, passion, and making a difference.
And then we have Driving Results Through Accountability, and Leanne De Jesus will be teaching that one.
And then we have Maintaining Company Culture, Carrie David.
Then we have Emotional Intelligence and Effective Leadership, and that will be taught by Doreen King.
And then our friend Jamie Novak is going to be doing a public speaking workshop.
And then we will have Sabina Hickman doing Balancing Career and Family Strategies for Success.
And then we're going to be doing a Breaking Up with Burnout by Tracy Bayer. And then we're going to close off with a couple of amazing stories with women in the industry. One of them will be Franzine Gonzalez.
And then we will have Stacy Gerhardt from RAPAC.
So we're really excited about that, Zach. I'm actually really excited to sit through a couple of those courses. And it's funny because space is limited in that room, right? And this year we're like really close to being sold out. So I had to go in this year and I had to put 3 of our names in there to make sure that we were able to get some seats so that we can cheat and be in the back of the room, hiding in the corner, taking the courses. So anyways, for all the women that want to go out there, go to poolnation.com. You'll see it's the very big button on the bottom left that says Women's Summit. Click on that. You'll be able to register and come out and see us August 29th and 30th. And then the other thing that we have is the Pool Nation Spotlight. We are excited. This month we have Brandon Roberts, a Marine vet with 3 tours of Iraq, and he shares his journey into the pool industry. We also have in there, obviously, how to deal with algae. We did our algae week and we added that in there as well. We got some promos. We've got all that kind of fun stuff. If you do not get that, go to poolnation.com. You can enter your email address and then you'll get it every month. And we have a monthly promo in there for all the pool pros in there. And there's going to be a really exciting one that's going to be out August 5th. That's going to talk about something that we haven't announced yet. So we're going to spill the tea on that podcast, Zach. And then the last thing that we have is the Pool Nation Conference. That's going to be November 9th, 10th, and 11th. And it wraps up everything that we're doing with education, right? We're going to have 13 technical classes. We're going to have 12 hands-on classes. We're going to have business classes. We're going to have retail. So everybody will be able to go register. You'll be able to take whatever one of those tracks that you want to take. But we've expanded all the courses that we do, all the things from the smaller boot camps we're doing at the Pool Nation Conference. And we're going big. We're like double to triple, right? Our hands-on classes, Zach, we normally do anywhere from 2 to 4 in the boot camps. And this time they're going to have up to 12. And then there's some bonus classes there where they're going to teach you how to plumb a pad, how to connect all the equipment of a pad as well on those bonus days. So definitely get out there, register, and we'll see everybody out there.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to that. I definitely have someone that we're bringing up to that, and I'm excited for them to get to go through that. And then also they'll be attending the awards, so that's exciting.
The awards are going to be the night of the 13th, so stay tuned. We will open up registration on that here soon. I know that there's plenty of time, but we'll open up registration. It's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be epic this year. So as a matter of fact, not next week, the week after, I'm going to go look at some of the venues for the HASA after party event and go look at the space for one of the things that we're going to be announcing here soon. So anyway, so we're all excited about all those things. Stay tuned. If you want any information for that, just go to poolnation.com. You'll be able to find all of the information right there and all the registrations that you need as well. Zach, I think it's time to get started. We got a message from somebody that was new into the industry. And this is the part that we love, right? We love talking to a lot of the pool pros that are new, that are going through their journey into the industry. And a lot of the conversation, a lot of the message was, A, they're going to go to the conference, so they're excited about that. They want to come out and meet with us. But one of the biggest things that they were looking for is, what were some of the challenges that we faced as we started our businesses and we started getting into the pool industry? And then Zach, you and I and John, we sat down and we're writing down all these different things that we should look at, right? And so I'm going to start with the first one because I think I want everybody to put their hat on. You're starting in the industry. You just bought a route. You just started servicing pools. what's step number one, right? And I think for everybody, for any business, it's obviously making more money. And that in turn for us turns into building that client base. So I think for any existing or new, focusing on that client base is going to be really important. And it's going to be one of the biggest hurdles that you're going to go through, right? Because we all want more accounts. We all want more accounts. And it doesn't matter, Zach, if you're in your spot where you've got 300 pools and you still have to scale, right? You still want to keep growing. Or if you just have 20 pools and you're trying to grow, you really have to focus on building that client base. And I think one of the biggest things that you have to do in order to be able to do that is you're going to have to establish some trust. You're going to have to establish some reputation for your services that you're doing. And so that initial focus, and you can call it your initial marketing efforts or whatever you want to call them, or that building of that base is going to be really important. And we talked about it on the Instagram Live, and I think it was Golden State Pools that nailed it when he said, find out what you're good at, find out what you're good at, what niche it is, and find out what you're good at that niche, and then do that really well. And for me, Zach, going into my journey, I had no experience with repairs. I had no experience with service. So I knew that I couldn't lean on those to be able to separate my business because I couldn't talk better about chemistry. I couldn't talk better about how to do repairs because I didn't have the knowledge. So that was my weakness. I did turn around and look at what other people weren't doing, and then how can I differentiate myself to be able to create that base and create that reputation. And a lot of it was, we talk about it all the time, that low-hanging fruit, right? So I've talked about it 1,000 times. It was the red shirts. It was the black Dickie shorts. It was the uniforms, right? I really wanted to be professional. I wanted to have the logos on the shirt. But one of the biggest things that allowed me to stand out was really focusing on the customer service and focusing on the communication with the customers. And so I dated myself. Obviously, back then, Skimmer didn't exist. The app that we have didn't exist and stuff like that. So it really was writing on the back of door hangers. Texting wasn't an issue back then. I used to write, if I had any issues with the pool, I would write on the back of that door hanger and I would put it into the mailbox, or I would hang it on the door. And a lot of the people, Zach, would tell me, my gosh, what separates you a lot is your focus on your customer service and your communication. And I've never had that before. And that's like Golden State was saying, that was the niche that I found. And when I found it and I saw that I was getting that positive feedback, that's what I attached to until I could figure out the chemistry and the repairs.
It was similar for us. We weren't necessarily, I'd say, the experts on anything technical or with the pools. We knew what we were doing, but what our niche was exactly what you were saying. We listened. We spent a lot of time listening to what people were saying. Like, we previously had a company and XYZ were our pain points, or here were our frustrations. And we really started to notice a common theme with it. And so that's what we really focused on. And we've talked about it time and time again, the low hanging fruit. And it's really what it was. And it was that communication, that consistency, like you said, sending the reports or leaving the reports for them. So that's really, in the beginning for us, that's really what helped us establish that reputation and then get that word of mouth, get that positive feedback online and start building that client base.
For you guys also, your branding has been phenomenal, right? Because obviously you got a great name, which is the Pool Boys. All of your team is in uniforms, but how big of an importance did you put to that branding at the beginning? Or was it maybe a couple of years later that you figured that out? And what was that like? When did that light switch go off?
Are we being honest here? Because it definitely took a few years before we really put a priority on the branding. I think there's a picture floating around somewhere of me in camo cargo shorts and a wife beater and some skate shoes. And that was the original uniform. But once we went on several years, we were loved. People loved us, Justin and I, but we really wanted to start growing. And then at that point, we knew that it was going to be vital for us to create a brand and build a brand. It took us several years of just spinning our wheels. And we got to the point where we were like, we've got a great job. And at this point, that's literally all it's ever going to be. And so we need to start thinking long term into the future. And we had the name. And so we started looking at what's our color theme going to look like? What's our logo, the font? And we started developing all that.
Yeah, and it's interesting for everybody listening, even the colors that you choose send a message. And if you go listen to our last podcast where we had Crystal Lengua Roel on, and she is an expert in branding, she talks about it. She talks about the different colors and the different messages that the different colors play that associate with your brand. And it's amazing, Zach, how everything like that, like even the fact that you pick a color, it sends a message. And that's absolutely amazing to me. I obviously picked mine just because I really wanted that red to stand out and stuff like that. But in listening to her and the podcast that she did and talking about all those different things and the characteristics that they put under the color, I'm like, man, that's spot on with the message that I wanted to send.
Yeah. And I took a lot of like retail classes and things like that throughout the years, just trying to learn everything I could. Some of those classes have really went in depth on like colors and things like that. And it's really interesting because if you think about it, we're being manipulated on a day-to-day basis everywhere we go. I went down the rabbit hole of lighting. You can go so far down that retail lighting, color rendering index, all these different numbers on light bulbs and lumens and how many feet and kelvins and how it makes a person think or they see colors more truly and it's more appealing. And so it's really interesting. And if you look at a lot of the big companies, the big established companies, and you will notice that they have a color theme. And those colors are doing different things to us to incite us to be calm or to be in a frenzy or to buy. Not to get all like conspiracy theory, but you think about it, we're being manipulated to make decisions on a daily basis.
Yeah, and it's amazing the impact that they have on customers and your message. And you really don't think about them, but you see them in action and you're like, oh my God, that's true. That works. It's just absolutely amazing. So I think a lot of what you need to do is, figure out where you're at. So maybe you were working for somebody else and now you're going on your own and you are truly a water chemistry expert and you go and the customers that you're meeting is because there's not good water chemistry or the prior pool guy wasn't maintaining the pool properly, right? That gives you an advantage. That gives you that niche to be able to go into that. And you have to be able to use that as a tool to be able to establish your trust and your reputation so that you can obviously create that client base based on that right there. Anyway, so that first one is obviously going to be that you want to create that client base. So make sure that you focus on establishing what you're good at so you can establish that trust and that reputation. And I think the other one that we talked about a little bit, Zach, which was we used to see it disappeared and now it's back. And that was the seasonal demand. And I think now more than ever, it's important for companies because for the last, whatever it was, 3 or 4 years, we were just a one season. Like we were busy all the time because you couldn't find products or people were spending all their time in the pool. So if something broke, they didn't care. It was like, fix it. Or man, Zach, you remember this, like you couldn't get certain things, whether it was a heater or a pump, and you had a waiting list already. And customers were just like, just do it or just cut everything out or just upgrade. Before COVID, we didn't have that. Before COVID, it was you picked up a lot of customers during the beginning of swim season, during swim season. And as the temperatures are going out, pools are going green again. But then when you hit that winter, you would pick up customers, but it would be 1 here, 2 there, not at that big fast paced volume. And I used to look at it, Zach, and I used to go, man, by the end of the summer, whatever I picked up, I knew I wasn't going to continue to pick up at that pace. And so that's important for a lot of the companies that were born during the COVID years to have an understanding that that's now going to be, we're going to go back to our norm. And so that's going to be very important for you to understand, especially if you are a growing company and you're starting to have employees. That's very crucial. Because where it comes to affect us, and Zach, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about this, but it really affects that cash flow and even being able to keep your doors open. Because if you have too much staff and things slow down and you don't have money to pay payroll during the wintertime because repairs are down and extra services are down, it can put you out of business.
Yeah, and I think what you were saying about if you were born in the COVID era, like if your company was started, this is normal. This is the normal. We're going into the new normal. And prior to it, we would get into winter and we'd have to really watch our account. We'd have to make sure that in summer we're thinking about winter. And I think in COVID, it was go. There wasn't really a down season. And so for someone that started out in that, and you couple that with the increasing wages, what was it, the Great Resignation, all of the problems that came along with that. And now we're going back to where we've got these inflated wages. Then we've got seasonality again, where it's going to slow down in winter and it's not going to be as busy, and cash flow may slow down or repairs may slow down. So I think it's important that we really get back to being focused on watching the business, keeping a pulse on the finances and what's going on, and really planning to get through that winter season.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial. And last year, I started to see the first couple of companies really struggle with that. And I think as we move forward, it's going to be a little bit more and more, right? Because last year we still were a little bit busy, but things this year really have cooled down, right? From the sense of there's not as much building. And if there's not as much building, there's not as much need for equipment, which creates less pressure on people that have pools. So now they know, hey, there'll be pumps on the shelf. There'll be heaters on the pump. So I can wait till next season, where the last couple of years it wasn't. It was like, get on it because I know that you don't have that. So I think it's really crucial. And I've started to see a couple of companies really struggle. And I've seen some, unfortunately, out of the industry because of that. And a lot of it is because they can't cover payroll. So it's really important for you to sit down, figure out your numbers. And I talk about it all the time. You have to know your numbers. You have to know your numbers. And what do I mean by that is, your service side of the company has to be able to be profitable, has to be able to provide you with a profit in order for you to be able to survive all times of the year, whether it's the busy season or the slow season. You can't get yourself into a mindset of, oh, the service side is only there for me to get repairs and get renovations and get deco seals and get all these extra jobs. No, your core business is going to be the service. Your core business has to be profitable and has to be able to carry your entire business during some of those slow times. Now, I'm not saying that it has to be tenfold and be able to carry your business all the time, right? But what I'm saying is it has to have enough profit that even if you do hit some of those slow seasons, it's going to be able to carry your business. Number two is you have to have a game plan going into those winter times when it's going to be slower. So if you do get into that situation where you do have those extra employees, you have to have a game plan in place. And I don't care what you do. I don't care whether you pressure wash or you deco seal or you bead blast, whatever it is that you do, you have to have a plan before you get to November. You can't look at it at the end of November and say, oh my gosh, we're not bringing in enough revenue to cover payroll and expenses and all that. What do we do now? That's the wrong mindset. You have to have a plan before you get there and have a contingency plan and say, hey man, if we get to whatever November and we see that our repairs and our whatever else that you do, your renovations or whatever, those numbers aren't up, we need to jump into gear and have a backup plan. And it could be for the single polars to, hey, go do all those filters that you haven't done, right? You bring all that revenue. Or that you do create a partnership with somebody that does deco seal, and then you go out and you sell those deco seals to be able to make a profit if your team can't do them. But you have to have a plan. You can't wait until you're in the middle of, oh my God, the dry season to then try to figure out what it is that you need to do. So I think for companies, for those younger companies that are starting, even for those mid companies, times have shifted a little bit and you are going to get some of that seasonal demand pressure.
Yeah, and I think it's really important what you were talking about is to look at it as micro businesses and treat each one as a different business that needs to be profitable. We would not be doing this if it were just purely to try to pick up some repairs or pick up the occasional extra job on top of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's a great point that you talk about. And one of the things that I love that you do, Zach, is you look at your business and you look at your repair almost as a separate company, right? A lot of times you go and you're like, hey, I sat with the team and we looked at last year and by this time we had made X amount. So now we have the target for this year and we know where we need to be and we need to make sure that we convert on those closing of those repairs and all that kind of stuff. And you're constantly looking at, are they turning it down because of price? Are they turning it down for XYZ reason? But you're constantly looking at that. And every company out there should do that, right? And I'm not saying that you have to have a separate repair company, but if you're a one puller that does service and repairs, you have to know in repairs what you did last year during those months so that you can have a comparison and you can try to beat last year and know exactly where you are. But that should be also with all the other things. So if you do charge for filters separately, do you know how many you did last year? And do you know how many you've done this year? Because let me tell you, one of my biggest pet peeves is filters is one of the most profitable things that you could do as a business, especially if you're a single puller. And if you're not getting out there and you're not doing your filters, you're leaving a lot of money on the table that you shouldn't be leaving on the table. So it's really important. And Zach said, look at it as micro businesses, right? Separate your revenue from filters, separate your revenue from repairs, separate your revenue from whatever other jobs that you do. And I'm going to keep picking on the same things, but the deco seals or the bead blaster, whatever it is that you do to make sure that you're bringing in that money every single year. You can't wait till November because by that time, you haven't gone to your customers and tried to sell them on the service or scheduled them or do that. So by the time that you go through and you do that, now you're going to be at the end of December, right? Because you got to go call your customers, hey, we should do X, Y, or Z. And do you want to do it? And they're going to take a little bit of time. And now what's happening is you're in a cash flow crunch. You don't have money to cover your payroll. And now it's going to be another 3 or 4 weeks of the exact same thing. And this is where Zach, the sleepless nights and the stress comes in. And this is where a lot of people just fold and they just say, I can't do it. I can't deal with the stress. I can't deal with not paying or covering expenses. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And that's definitely not a good feeling, you know.
It is the worst feeling.
Been through it plenty of times.
Not a good thing. Hey, Zach, let's do this really quick. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, we will continue.
Calling all women in the pool industry. The 3rd annual Pool Nation Women's Summit is just around the corner on August 29th and 30th, and you don't want to miss it. This incredible event is designed to empower, educate, and connect women who are making waves in the pool industry. Whether you're in manufacturing, distribution, service, retail, or a business owner, there's something for everyone. Registration is now open at poolnation.com. Secure your spot today and join us for an unforgettable experience. Visit poolnation.com to register now. See you there. The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We continue our conversation with Mr. Zacharias here today. And obviously, we are going back and doing a little bit of a twofold. Zach, so we're going back through our journeys and talking about our experiences and really what it takes to be able to build a successful business really from the ground up, right? From the beginning for us, for the things that we had to go through. And it's easier, I think, now, Zach, to be able to sit back and take a look at it and go, man, how come I waited 2 or 3 years for the uniforms, right? Why did I wait to not do those certain things? But I think a lot of it is we all go through our own journeys and we all have our own struggles and our strengths and weaknesses. And so what might be very obvious to the one person at the beginning might not be to the other because they're trying to focus on something else. But what's interesting is how eventually everything starts to click, right? And it's easy now to look back and look at those things and go, man, I should have done that since day one.
I think they have several sayings for that, right? Hindsight's 2020 and whatnot. And a lot of it is just learning along the way. And it is interesting, some of the things that finally click years later. Some of them are the simplest things, but the whole goal is to talk about these things from different perspectives. And hopefully someone who's starting their journey or going through it can maybe avoid some of the pitfalls and take advantage earlier on and get their journey going smoother.
Absolutely. So the next one that was on our list, Zach, was competition. And we were going back and forth when we put this one on the list. And a lot of the conversation was around, we don't see a lot of people as our competition, but there are a lot of pool pros out there. And then obviously everybody charges different rates. Everybody charges based on different things. And a lot of people will look at, what does Zach charge? What does John charge? What does Matt charge? What does Robert charge? And then I'm going to base my business based off of what they're charging, and then I'm going to go $10 cheaper because I'm going to keep all the business. And I talked about this on the Instagram Live. That never works. It never works. But we really are faced with a lot of competition in our industry. And I think the biggest thing for you as a pool pro is understanding that there's going to be a lot of competition. Pricing shouldn't be the focus of it. Really, what should be the focus is, how are you going to stand out from all of that competition?
Yeah, and I've talked about this before, and we've grown to a lot of our competition in the area. They're friends of ours, right? They're the other pool people out there, and we do a lot of networking and trading off jobs and things that we don't do, we send to them, and things they don't do, they send to us. But I think it is fundamental error that people fall into in the beginning. Like you said, you get so focused on, maybe we don't really know what we're doing in the beginning. We're trying to figure all this out. Let's look at the competition and see what they're doing and try to emulate that. And I've talked about it before. When we started, our whole plan, like, how are we going to be better than the competition, is we were going to do quality work at a more affordable rate. And we even had the tagline, affordable pool and spa repair, because we were only doing the repair and installation in the beginning. And then as time went on, I started realizing I don't necessarily want to be affordable. Like, we need to make money and we need to pay our bills. And so we ended up changing that to professional pool and spa repair at some point. And then ultimately we just dropped the whole slogan. But I think that's an error that a lot of people make, is focusing too much on the competition. I think it is a good idea to always have a pulse on the competition and see what's going on, see what's trending in the market. You know, if you see a lot of the competition are wrapping their vehicles, and maybe it's time to up the game and wrap the vehicle. But keep in mind that some of the things that the competition are doing may not be effective, and you don't want to just rush out there. And we've talked about the whole example of like bead blasting, or going out and it's, oh, everyone else is doing it, I need to go invest all this money and get a rig and do bead blasting, and then you don't have enough calls coming in to cover the cost and expense of doing so. So look at them, watch them, but don't rush to copy them.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things, I love that, Zach, because I think one of the things that happens, and a lot in our industry, is people tend to go and copy what other people do. And it's really important as a business owner that the very first thing that you do is you strategize first, right? Everything has to have a strategy. And so if you are going to go into a certain type of service or business that you're going to do, you have to be able that, A, you have the manpower to do it. B, you have the time to be able to allocate to do that. And then C, you have to know the numbers and know how profitable that part of the business is going to be. And I think that what a lot of companies, and not just in the pool industry, I think a lot of companies in general, they see somebody do something and they jump in and they imitate and they try to imitate. And then that company goes, oh, 2 months into it, oh, this is not worth it for me. We're not going to do this anymore. And the same thing happens to the next business. So I think it's very important that if you see somebody else doing it, it's one of those where I picture myself in a room with, and you're a big fan of the dry erase boards, right? But I could picture Zach in his training room, right? The learning hub, and sitting in there. And I could see that entire back wall being a white dry erase board for you. And I could see you sitting in that room going, okay, let's strategize about this, right? If we're going to go into doing X, Y, or Z, let's go through the different scenarios of how this could work or how it can't work. And let's look and see how profitable it is. And that's what everybody needs to do as a business owner. Before you jump in and you start doing, don't go by impulse. Don't go just imitating what the other people are. Look at it and figure out the resources, the money, the tools that you're going to need, and then what you're going to be able to charge per job, and then what your profitability is going to be out of that, before you just go in and spend $10,000 on a rig and then realize you don't have the manpower to do it. Now you have $10,000 worth of debt that you're not going to know what to do with.
I'm not going to lie. I just was thinking how badass it would be to have a full dry erase wall in the shop.
Can I tell you what my dream is? My dream is to have an office that has the white frosted glass that I could use as a dry erase board.
Yeah, Yeah.
And the way that my office would look, Zach, would be obviously like one of those entire panels, right? So I look at your office, right? And they're like those big panels.
Yeah.
So one panel from top to bottom would be like the insights, right? And the next one would be the podcast, and the next one would be the awards. And I would have all these strategy sessions going on along that wall. The only thing that we need to think about is how overwhelming that could become. Because then if you think about it, then you could get really depressed because you have so much stuff that's visible and you figure out how much stuff you have to do. And if stuff is not coming off those walls, bro, you're going to be depressed. But I could totally see you doing that as well, having kind of this big, huge wall and just having everything set, which would be cool if you think about it.
Yeah, I have my whiteboard on wheels here, and everyone gives me crap about that because I'm always dragging it around with me into different rooms and talking about stuff. So
I have an idea.
no.
Let's go back to your office. And then right there in your office, we grab that wall and we cut that wall. And then what we do is we put 2 frames of those glass frosted walls and then your door into your office. And then we could start there where inside your office, you could have those 2 big, huge panels.
I'm down. Let's do it in November, though, after, what did I say the other day? 7 more Fridays?
Yeah. After 7 more Fridays, we could do that. But that's a part of it. So as a business owner, I think one of the biggest things, and we do the thinking strategically, is really how to look at things from a strategic standpoint and make sure that you're hitting all the different points, which could be a separate podcast altogether.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton that goes into that. And that's really how I approach everything. Like, I am a total pen and paper or whatever whiteboard. And whenever I have an idea or I'm thinking about doing something, I just write and crunch numbers and do math and write out plans. And it gives you a lot more insight into what you're trying to do. And you got to be honest with yourself when you're strategizing too. I think that's a big piece of it. I often find myself trying to justify things or, wow. And then you know what? Sometimes it's just a random shot in the dark that you got to take and see what happens and go. But
yeah, as long as you have all the data, and you have the data, and maybe it is 50-50 on the data, and you're like, let me just take a shot, and you take a shot. But if the data is there and it's 70-30 and it has a less probability, you really need to think about it and decide whether you want to do that or not. Because then the other problem is if you start to focus on a big thing like that, it takes away from other parts of your business. And you have to be definitely very careful. Next thing that we wanted to talk about was technical expertise. And that's really, if you're a company, you're starting, you don't have a lot of the technical expertise, is really to make sure that you put a big focus on learning that. It could be anything, right? It could be that you need to focus on learning water chemistry and maintaining your pools. It could be repairs. It could be anything within your company, but you really have to invest very early on education and getting that skill set. Because if in our industry, we're talking to customers, but when we're talking to customers, we're educating them, whether it's water chemistry or repair or why this pump or this heater or this filter doesn't work with the setup that they have. It's really important for us to be able to have that knowledge, to be able to have that conversation with the customers. And the longer that you wait to get that training and to get that knowledge, the more you're going to be at a disadvantage over somebody that's going to be coming in behind you and being able to really educate that customer on that technical expertise.
yeah, I'm looking at our list here that we put together, and I think that also goes into not only technical expertise as far as the workings of pool maintenance, repair, whatever it is, but spending that time getting educated on the business too. That's a huge part of it, getting that business expertise. And so I just think in general, getting education is huge priority, and spend that time in the beginning as you're getting going, whatever it is, taking all the classes you can, sitting in all the workshops, getting all the podcasts, getting all the audiobooks, whatever you can get in on whatever it is. But having that advantage and being able to speak to those things well and having that confidence, it gives you a greater edge against the competition. It helps build that trust and that confidence with the customer from the beginning. One thing I talk about with the team here is don't try to BS your way through things. If a customer catches you in the backyard and they're like, hey, what's going on? Can you talk to me about this or what's going on here? If you don't know, you don't know. But as a business owner, it is our job to know. So you have to make sure that you are learning these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to spend time to be able to do those. And it could be that you do it online. It could be that you go to any of the shows that are available to get education. It could be YouTube. You want to source and make sure that where you're getting the information is a great source, right? Because you have to be a little bit careful with how much stuff is out there. But you really very early on have to break it down. You need to look at the business. You need to look at the technical, whether it's the water chemistry or plaster or air, any of that kind of stuff. And then the repairs in order for you to be able to continue to scale and make more money. I always say that it's a progression, right? You start with the business side, you start with the chemistry, you start with maintaining the pools, you start playing with repairs, then you do repairs. And then what happens from there is whether people go into remodel or building, but it's that stepping stone. But you have to focus and get that education. And it's not just a matter of talking to people about a specific product, but when you educate people, and let's say that you do have a product that is a high-end product, and that's the product that you use, it's not just teaching them about the product, but maybe it's about the process to make that quality product. And that makes you a lot more knowledgeable because not only do you know about what the product does itself, but you have the knowledge of what it takes to make a quality product. And I think a lot of people are always interested in making sure that you use quality products. If you go to a customer and you say, hey, I have this crappy chlorine over here to just make it nice and simple, or you have this other high quality chlorine and this one is made this one and this one is made this way, and you ask the customer, which one do you want? I highly doubt that they're going to go, give me the crappy one. But it's important for you to educate them not just on the chemical, not just what the chemical does, but do you have background on the product, the company? And then the people are going to say, man, this person knows anywhere from the company that makes the process to make the product and why he chooses this high-end product. And you all of a sudden become that technical expert, Zach.
Absolutely. That's along my journey. That's how I sell. I'm not a pressure salesperson. I'm not a car dealer. I get out there. I talk about, here's the products, here's the solutions. I educate. That's my main thing. And then I let them make a decision. Do you want the crappy chlorine or do you want the good chlorine based on what you've learned today? And I've just found that it builds such good trust with the customer. And then from that point forward, a lot of times once you educate them really well on a couple things in the beginning, it becomes just, yeah, whatever you recommend. If that's what you're saying, let's just go ahead and get it done. And then it just really, you have that good, healthy relationship with the customer moving forward. I keep going back to it, but customers can see through the BS. They can totally see if you're making it up or if you're struggling to get through it or you don't really know what you're talking about. And I think that is a big trust breaker right there. Then it's really hard to gain their trust. Then they're skeptical in the future when you're trying to recommend things. So make sure you are learning these things.
Yeah. And in our industry, you got to take as many classes as you can. You got to go to as many shows as you can, watch as many videos as you can watch, talk to a lot of other pool pros. One of the biggest things for me back then, Zach, is there wasn't a lot of education. It was only at the Western show that I would go. So a lot of it was tapping into, originally I was with IPSA and then I was with my UPA group. And so a lot of it was communicating with those guys that had 20 years experience, and I just pick up the phone and I'm like, hey, this is the problem that I'm having. And they were the knowledge that you were getting. So do that, maintain and create relationships, whether it's at the pool store or associations or a community or whatever it is, because you got a lot of guys and girls that have a lot of experience. And the beauty of it, Zach, is it's almost like a lifeline, right? Like you could pick it up and they're going to give you the answer that you need without having to do all of the research and learning the hard way.
Absolutely.
Well, Zach, so we had 10. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to finish with number 5. We'll finish the podcast. And then on the next podcast, what we will do is we will talk about the last 5 that we brought up. So the next one, and I think this is a big one for us. I started this way too, Zach. And you think that it doesn't make that much of an impact, but it really does. And it really does go with your image and your branding and all that. And it's really having the right equipment and the right supplies to be able to do it. And what I mean by that is having the right tools, making sure that the image that you're creating as the pool boys matches that when you're walking into a backyard. And what I mean by that, Zach, is, if you're trying to create this great image and you have somebody showing up and with a broken basket or a bucket and just everything thrown in there, and then carrying the other thing on the other side that's all ripped up, and it goes against the image that you're trying to create. And Zach, when I started, and I keep hating to say this because I used to be the youngest guy in the room, and now I'm talking what it was 15 years ago, 30 years ago, right? But when I started doing pool, Zach, hammerheads weren't even a big thing. And I remember watching and looking at those first hammerheads. And I remember going to some of the old timers and like, you don't need that. That's a piece of crap. That's a waste of time. And I'm like, man, we get the Santa Ana wins. I bet you that could make my life a lot easier. But I kept going back to them and they're like, you don't need that. But everybody that I would stop, and trust me, Zach, I would pull up to a light where there was somebody that had a hammerhead, and I would roll down my window and I would be like, hey, how do you like that back? And they're like, I wasn't too sure about it. Now I won't do anything without it. And I'm like, So it was interesting because on one side of the spectrum, everybody was telling me that they wouldn't use it, that they wouldn't spend the money. But then the people that had them were like, I will never do pools again without them. And we know that hammerheads aren't vacs like that, are not something that you're going to use every single week. But if you do get an example, Zach, the situation that you guys are in with all these trash pools and all that, it is going to make the job a lot easier, and you're going to be able to do more with less. And think about how it takes away from your body. I remember, Zach, at the beginning, getting into some of these big, huge pools like that and having to net the bottom of the entire pool. And Zach, I remember my hands being like cramped like this, that Leanne had to give me massages because my hands were, you're going down and pulling out all these leaves and doing all that. I think one of the things that we overlook a lot of times is really making sure that we have the right tools for the job to be able to make you more productive. And then in a case like yours, that you have employees like that in place, what tools are there that is going to be easier on their bodies and going to give them the ability to be a lot more productive?
Yeah, and I think being more productive, that's always the focus. And in our market, if you don't have some sort of riptide or power vac like that, you're not getting a lot done. Our pools on average are a little bit larger. We have a lot of debris. I've talked to people that have asked me, what do you think about those hammerheads? And we never have to use those. We hardly have to vac in different markets. And we are always having to vac. And if you have cheap equipment that's breaking in the middle of the day and you have to have someone come back to the shop to get a replacement or get another pole because their pole snapped and going back out there, it costs time and money. And then you got to look at the snowball effect. Now they're out there, their days longer. You've got overtime where they didn't get their pools done. So now you're trying to reschedule. So it's just vital that you acquire the right tools and weigh out the investment. Some of this stuff is pretty pricey, but you've got to be able to sit down and take a look at it and say, okay, if I don't have some sort of standalone vac system, I can realistically do 9 pools a day. But if I were to invest in this, I could get another 3 pools a day done. You're talking an extra 15 pools a week. I think that in itself would pay off the investment. That's how I'm always looking at things. That's how I'm looking at new equipment. I'm like, man, that's pricey, but what's it going to do for our efficiency? What's it going to do for our productivity? And what's it going to do for the team member that's going to be using it? Is it going to make their life easier?
And that's really important, right? For me, every single one of my guys had a hammerhead, but they also had a Tom Dula cart. And mine were custom made. I don't know if I've shared this with you or not, Zach, but I had mine and it was the first one that Tom Dula did, but I had a spool, a reel on my hammerhead. And the reason that I had that is I always struggled with priming hoses. And you know how it is. Sometimes you're priming and you get good at it, right? But you're getting your hands wet. Part of your thumb starts to get really hard from the hose, always rubbing on the hose and stuff like that. I'm like, man, there has to be an easier way. And so went over to Tom Dula and he custom made, and I still have the cart and I don't think I'll ever let it go. I have it, and it is, the first one that he did was stainless steel. And what we did is we put that spool, that reel to the top. And on top of it, towards the handle, we put some hooks so that you could put your vac head up there. And then inside the spool, there was a little clamp. And so what you would do is I would literally pull that cart straight up to the pool without having to bend down, Zach. I would click in my vac head. I would turn around and I would drop it into the pool. And you know what that did? It automatically started to prime the hose because you're in an elevated position because it's coming from the cart down. It's elevated. So literally all I had to do is as I was pulling it off the spool, just completely just push it into the water. And by the time that the hose was in the water, it was already primed.
Right.
And I would grab it, put it into the skimmer, vacuum. And here's the other beauty part of it, Zach. When I was done and I came out, all I had to do was pull up the vac head and bring it up to the top of the cart, put it in the holder, and then at the same time, it's already pulling all the water out. And I would go by the skimmer. And then obviously when you have a hose and you're waiting, and then the last of it, then you pull the hose out. Now what's happening is that's empty. There's no water inside the hose. And then what I would do is I would just put it on that clip that's inside the holder. And then all you do is spin and it automatically reels that hose onto your cart and you're done.
I need to see this thing.
And I have two of them, and both of them. So one of them, he made the first stainless steel spool that he did, right? And it was huge. And then he started doing ones where he had them sideways on the carts, but I didn't like the sideways because you would have to bend all the way down in order to be able to get to the hose, where when I was standing frontwards, I could just be in front of the pool, put it away from me and drop it over my shoulder. And so we went to do the second one and he was like, it's easier to do it sideways because I could just put a post and I could just put the reel like that and it just becomes a little bit easier. And I'm like, no, I still like it front facing. So that second one that he did front facing. And so I have both of them and I've kept them on purpose because they have a sentimental value to me, because what was cool to me is I started in the pool industry and I got introduced to Tom Dula, which is the one that had the patent on the Dula carts to clip them on the stuff. I was just able to drive up to his house because it was on my route. And I would just be able to drive up and go to his shop and stop. And, hey, Tom, I'm looking for this and I'm looking for that. And he's like, oh, let's do it, blah, 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 you know. So it has a big sentimental value to me. You know, unfortunately, he's passed away, but I still have both of those carts and I don't think I'll ever let them go. As a matter of fact, I joke around and I tell Leanne, I go, eventually when Pool Nation has an office, those are going to be part of the decoration of that. And then the other thing that I did, Zach, is I had him customize the holder for the test kit to be able to fit the K2006 test kit, and it would go right up behind the handle. So I would have that kind of clipped in so my test kit was there. And so my cart had everything that I needed. I didn't need to go back to the truck for anything. But for me, it was important for me and my guys to have these carts because I want to be that professional. I want to be in the brand shirts and pants. And I want the guys to have all the tools rather than carrying these 15 different things and going back to the truck 3 times and losing all this time. And so having the right tools, having the right poles, having the right nets, having the right test kit, having the right, whether you use digital pH pens or whatever, having all those tools, it's important. And that you need to understand that to do the job right, you need the right tools. And even if you want to look a lot more professional to the customer, so it goes with your brand, having you and your employees have the right tools plays a big, huge part, but we don't talk about it a lot.
Absolutely.
And the answer is no, you cannot have that cart.
I just want to see this thing. I'm trying to envision it.
You cannot take that cart. The other thing that I had them do for me is, because I used to take both of my carts. So I had my hammerhead on one side and the pool cart on the other side. So obviously at the beginning, there was just one hitch. And so I had them do a T-bar. So it would go connected and then it would post to the left, a post to the right. And then I had the 2 cart connections right there. So I was able to click both of them and have both of them on the back of my truck.
This thing that I'm like, this image that I've created in my mind, like I think it'd be fitting in like a Dr. Seuss book about a pool guy. Like it would be his cart.
His professional cart. Yeah. But yeah, and the other thing that I did, Zach, is I got from another pool guy. This wasn't just mine. One of my neighbor that I got in, he was really smart. He went over and he got, I think it was 2.5-inch pipe and the black pipe, and put a cap at the bottom and then cut a little like strip out of the middle. And so then what you would do is you would put like 10 tabs inside that, and it was drilled onto the side of the cart. So I didn't have to keep loading tabs into every time I went into the back of a pool. I had a stack of about 10 of them. And then when it got low, then I would stop, put 10 more, and then keep going and then come back. And you have that slot so that you could put your fingers and pull out whatever tabs you needed. And yes, I did use unwrapped tabs, but yes, I also did use rubber gloves, and everybody used to make fun of me, but I always wore my big, I think I sent you a picture, right? Where I was wearing those big gloves over to here because I was typical pool guy, right? Like I got, my hands are all rough and all that. And I was rubbing Sienna's back when she was maybe like 2 years old. And she's like, Dad, your nails are bothering me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my hands. And then I'm like, I can't rub my daughter's back and have her think that. So I went to Harbor Freight and they had the sandblasting rubber gloves. They have the texture, but they go up to here to your elbow. And then it helped during the wintertime because you're not putting your hands in cold water. Anyways, but having your right tools is crucial. All right, Zach, let's do this. Let's take our final word from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to get your final thoughts into the 5 first things that we've talked about. We'll be right back.
Calling all women in the pool industry. The 3rd annual Pool Nation Women's Summit is just around the corner on August 29th and 30th, and you don't want to miss it. This incredible event is designed to empower, educate, and connect women who are making waves in the pool industry. Whether you're in manufacturing, distribution, service, retail, or a business owner, there's something for everyone. Registration is now open at poolnation.com. Secure your spot today and join us for an unforgettable experience. Visit poolnation.com to register now. See you there. The Hyper Pole from Ultimate Pool Tools is a pool care pole designed by pool professionals for pool professionals, featuring precision-crafted carbon fiber and stainless steel construction. Go to ultimatepooltools.com or Instagram at Ultimate Pool Tools. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add recurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We are at the end of the podcast. We are talking to our boy, Zacharias. We've been talking about some of the key things that are important when you're talking about building that successful business. Zach, let me get your final thoughts.
Yeah, we did a lot better today than we did on Wednesday, because I think Wednesday we got through 3, and today we've made it through 5 of the 10 things. I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. And I mean, a lot of these things, they may seem common sense, but a lot of them aren't, or we get so busy and caught up in the chaos of starting our business, growing our business, and just dealing with the high demand and issues that come on a daily basis. And it's important that we don't lose sight of these things that we're talking about. And these are the things that really go into when you hear the saying, work on your business, not in your business. As you're growing, you get really stuck in the day-to-day. You're wearing all the hats. You're having to go out, do the service, sell the service, and collect for the service, and then make sure that you're getting more service. But as you start to grow and you get things stabilized, you start getting people in place, it's really important that you're able to start putting an importance and putting time into these areas and how you can efficiently take advantage of these areas, if that makes sense. Good stuff. This is the stuff I like getting into and talking about, and looking forward to going through the rest of them.
Awesome. I normally throw them over to John for final thoughts. So John, final thoughts. Oh, wait, John's not here, Zach.
I was about to try to do a John impression.
You should have. You should have. You should have. So you know what, everybody that's listening, you should, in your mind, here's what I want you guys to do. I'm going to do like a 10-second pause. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let everybody play in their head what John would sound like. Ready? John, final thoughts. We would need more than 20 seconds though, right? Anyways, John, brother, we miss you out there. Hope that you are able to get through all the crazy things that you were dealing with. Everybody that's out there, I know that this is really crunch time. Do what you do best. Take care of your customers. Go out there and make the money, right? Because we talked about it. It will slow down for the winter time. So if you've got those extra opportunities for those extra hours to get out there and hustle and make that money, do it, right? Because eventually October, November will come around and things will slow down. So get out there, make that money, And next week, Zach, we are going to celebrate Natural Chemistry's 35-year anniversary.
35 years. That's crazy.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. So we have them coming out to do the podcast live with us. John will be out here next week as well. And then the week after that, Zach, we have a really crazy week, which you're going to be on vacation, you cheater.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll be on vacation.
I think you did that on purpose. Did you look at the schedule and look at when it got crazy and said, can I take these 2 weeks off?
You're right.
I think we're going to have to go and take, somebody recently told me that they have blackout dates for the pool industry to take vacation. I think we're going to have to put blackout dates for next year. By the way, everybody that has blackout dates, so totally get it. No time off during the summertime, right? But the week after that, we have in town Terry Arco, Steve Barnes, Pool Nation Hall of Fame. Then right after that, we have Heritage, where we will make our big announcement. And then right after that, we have a podcast with Casey McGovern and Aquastar. So we have a week that's going to be really packed, really crazy. And by the way, Zach, that week is when I need to go look at the space for the parties for HASA. So that's going to be a little bit of a crazy week, and we'll be in studio taking pictures, doing videos. You're going to miss a lot.
Yeah, I wish I could be there. And it's weird. I mean, this trip was supposed to be over by now.
Right.
But that storm came in and we had to push it back. But we got to get up there and see the fam and get the kids up there. So
yeah, the kids need some vacation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they do need a break of the routine. It's always important at that age. So anyways, everybody, hope that you guys have a great weekend. We will catch you guys next Wednesday. Catch me and John on the Instagram Live. And hopes everybody has a great time. Talk to you guys later. Bye, Zach.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. Poolmanuniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at poolmanuniversity.com.